We're in overtime. Meet the author overtime. This is Dave Rogers with Chow Boon. Hi again, Chow Boon.
Hi, Dave. Good to see you again.
Let's go into this question about what got you to move from beautiful, warm Singapore to Canada, to cold, icy Canada.
Oh, okay. So it must be the snow that brings me here. Okay, that was back in 2003 when I first visited Vancouver. I have a relative. My wife's sister lives here for many, many years. So we visited her back in 2003. And we lived here for almost a month. And we lived like a Canadian because we were living in their house, not in hotels. So we get to see how a Canadian live and what kind of life they are, what kind of food they eat. And we kind of fall in love. And we came in at the time was in the month of November. So the start of winter. So we enjoy the cold, the winter, because back in Singapore, we were sweating every day. Yeah. So that got us attracted to Vancouver and in Canada. And we consider moving to Canada after we left back in Singapore. 2 years after that, in 2005, we decided to make a decision to come here.
And again, one of the biggest things about Canada versus Singapore is the weather. We joke about Singapore has 4 seasons, hot, hotter, wet, wetter, versus Canada, where we do have a very distinct autumn and winter and spring and summer. If you were to be giving Canadians or Singaporeans advice about coming to Canada, what would be 1 or 2 things to give them as guidance before they came to Canada?
For me, I would want to give them this advice that they have to be prepared for a culture shock. Okay, so maybe as in terms of their working, all right? Now, it is, when I moved here, I really needed a job to survive. And that was really a very difficult part to go through. And you're going to do a job that you have never think that you'll be doing in Canada, unlike back in Singapore. So this is something anybody who wants to move to Canada has to be prepared to do something very different.
Very true.
Yeah. And the other thing is that be prepared to live like a very lonely life here, because people are scattered all over. You don't get to bump into each other shoulder to shoulder like in Singapore. So, but we actually enjoy the kind of space that we have, when we move here.
So you've really connected with nature, and one of the things that you've been famous for is being an introvert in business, being an entrepreneur who's introverted. And your new book, congratulations on Business Introvert. You've connected with nature in a way that is very uplifting and inspiring. Can you share a little bit about what it's like to be in nature in Canada and some of the things that you're inspired by?
Sure. I started going on into the nature with my wife on weekends because I want to explore Canada. And I always think that I want to be a tourist when the weekends come. So every weekend comes, my wife and I will start looking at, okay, which trail shall we go to, which mountain shall we visit? And it was very nice when we were in the mountain, especially my wife. We were supposed to go on a hike, and then the 1 hour hike can take 3 hours because she will stop by every 10 meters to look at flowers, to look at plants. And we marvel at how a tree can live for hundreds of years standing there, and just marvel at the mother nature, the creation. And it's very refreshing to be in the forest.
Well, whoever's watching or listening to this today, what Chow Boon has just said is if you can be a tourist, even in your own country or in your own city, it's such a wonderful way to live life. Because even if you used to live there 5 or 10 or 15 years ago, you've changed. Things have changed. And if you like that change, if you can respect that change, and it's such a great way to to live your weekends, particularly. Yet if you could get to living like that every day, what a great way to live.
Oh yeah.
Share one or two of the places in British Columbia that you've been to that has just been marvelous from your experience.
Oh wow. Okay. So I would recommend if anybody were to visit, definitely Stanley Park is a park within the city. That is a must go, and you get to see the nature, and as well as if you just look to your right, you see where the city is. So it's a very good combination of nature and the city living together. And if you want to go a little bit more onto the suburbs, there are many places, there are many heights and many mountains you can explore.
Has your journey brought you to Tofino yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I have been to Vancouver Island a couple of times. It is just too big an island to explore even within a week. I think you need to stay there for months.
Well, if you and your wife go to Tofino and go to Cathedral Groves, I would love to hear your experience, see your pictures, because for me, when I lived in Vancouver for a little while, that was one of those experiences that just stayed with me my whole life. And I went there once when I was 13 years old with my dad, and my dad grabbed one of those big trees and gave it a hug, and I thought he was crazy. And then 20 years later, I went to that place and I went, wow. And it was really quite overwhelming. Let's share a little bit about the business environment in Canada. What has been an adjustment for you as being somebody who was a business owner, was very much action oriented, go 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 in Singapore, and then coming to Canada and perhaps working in a big institution, still action oriented, I'm sure. Yet, what would be a tip for people getting ahead in business in Canada?
I'm not sure about Canada, but in Vancouver, it's actually a very small city. It's a beautiful city. I come from Singapore, where it is so densely populated within a very small area, 5 million people. Vancouver, I think maybe there's only less than 1 million people living together. And for business to thrive, I think you need that kind of masses. And I find it very difficult in Vancouver to do business. I think the business that do well in Vancouver are probably the F&B, the restaurants. People eat a lot. That's it. One of the things that people like to do. Yeah, so to do business in Vancouver, I think we have to go beyond Vancouver, and probably the online space will be the answer to entrepreneurs.
Fantastic. Yeah. And tell us a little bit about what do you see as if in the next 5 or 10 years for you, and what would be some of the invitations to people who might be listening to us? This will be on one of our radio channels. This will be being broadcast to people on YouTube and around the world. So again, what would be something that you would like people to know about Chow Boon, also known as Charles, in Vancouver?
Okay. As I mentioned before, it took me 14 years to write this book, to publish this book. And I would like to inspire people to actually writing a book is possible. So this will be what I would like to advocate and maybe be a coach to somebody to help him realize writing a book.
What would be a nice profile of somebody who would be a great coachee for you? Could you got an idea of the type of person that would be a wonderful mentee or coachee for you?
The coachee, it is someone who is down at the valley right now, and who wants to come back, spring back. Yeah, because anything that you do is going to be upward. And I think that would be a good story for the person to write about himself.
Would you like to work with young people, older people? What age group would you love to potentially coach or mentor?
45 and above.
Okay. So let's say 45 and above, perhaps going through some challenges, some difficulties in life, and would like to potentially collaborate and be coached and mentored by somebody who has lived and worked abroad, has specialized in people who are introverted, yet is action oriented.
Yes.
Very good. Any last thoughts or words that you'd like to share with people today who might be tuning into Overtime and enjoying this cross-cultural, cross-international conversation?
Well, the message is if you have a dream, just go for it, take action, and go out of your comfort zone. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say go out of comfort zone because nobody wants to go out of the comfort zone. Expand your comfort zone.
Very good. Expanding your comfort zone. Yeah. And anyone who, again, listening today, please, if you got a question, please add a question, a comment, and connect with us on one of the social medias. I'll be putting the links below, and look forward to seeing you at your book launch, Chow Boon, and hearing about some of the successes that come from a business introvert. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave, for having me.